Hey y'all, it's because Mama said so, and I'm going to be going through Gravy 101. We're going to learn 4 different types of gravy: milk gravy, sausage gravy, brown gravy, and gravy made from chicken or turkey drippings, which is perfect for the holiday. First, we're going to start with something I like to call gravy math. Gravy math is a very simple formula that you can use to make all types of gravy. Half a cup of fat plus half a cup of flour plus 2 to 4 cups of liquid as the base of any gravy that you're going to make. The first gravy we're going to start out with is chicken or turkey dripping gravy. Now this will come up perfect for the holidays. As you can see, I took the drippings from the pan and we had about a half a cup of fat on the top of the liquid. We'll take that half a cup of fat and add it to our saucepan. And to that fat we will add our half a cup of flour. Then we will stir it and cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes. It's important that you stir the flour and the fat together to cook for a few minutes because number 1, it takes the raw flour taste out, and number 2, it binds the flour and the fat together so that when you add the liquid, it won't become lumpy. So here you can see I'm going to add that half a cup of flour and I'm going to whisk it in really good into that fat until it's all nice and combined. It'll start to get a little bit thick. Then I'm going to add the 2 cups of liquid. Now our recipe calls for 2 to 4 cups, and so I will have 2 to 4 cups of liquid sitting to the side, but I'll add 2 cups to begin with, and then if it starts to thicken too much, then I can add the rest. Always take your pan drippings that you have and add them to your gravy for ultimate flavor. Now that it's starting to thicken, you can add your seasonings. For this particular gravy, we're going to add salt, pepper, and just a touch of seasoning salt. Before serving, I'll also stir in some parsley. The seasonings that you use depends on what kind of gravy that you're making. For this, it's salt, pepper, seasoned salt, and parsley right before serving. Next, we'll move on to brown gravy. Now, this is a classic gravy that my mama used to make all the time, and in the South, we love to eat it with rice. Brown rice and gravy. Oh, so good. To start this off, we're going to do half a cup of vegetable oil. Now, if you had fried pork chops or chicken, you would use that fry oil for your fat, but because I'm doing this for a demonstration purpose, I didn't make anything like that, so I'm just doing straight oil to the pan. Then you're going to whisk around that flour until it becomes a dark chocolate brown color, giving it the base of that brown gravy flavor and color. But you're just going to keep whisking until it gets as dark as you want to let it get. Don't burn it, but get it to a dark chocolate brown. Then go ahead and add 4 cups of water and salt and pepper to taste for your gravy. This one is absolutely delicious. It's a complete winner and you have got to give it a try. Now we'll move on to peppered milk gravy. This one is super simple. Remembering our math, we need a half a cup of fat, a half a cup of flour, and 2 to 4 cups of liquid. In this recipe, the half a cup of fat is a stick of butter. Then we have our flour, and we're going to whisk and mix for 1 to 2 minutes. We do not want the flour to burn because we want our milk gravy to have that beautiful white color in contrast with the pepper flakes. This one is absolutely delicious. It goes great on mashed potatoes. It goes really good on chicken fried steak. My husband actually prefers this gravy over the brown gravy, so I make milk gravy or white gravy a lot more often. I always say 2 to 4 cups in the gravy math because you never know, how much is the flour going to absorb, how much, are you going to need to make, what big of a group of people are you feeding, do you want a thicker gravy, do you want a thinner gravy, and so 2 to 4 cups is always about generally what works, but if you feel like you need less or more, the texture is up to you because you are feeding your people. As I'm whisking this, I'm waiting for it to thicken up, and I do notice that I want a little bit more milk in it, so I add the final cup of milk to this milk gravy, and then I'll add the pepper, the salt, and that's it for this peppered milk gravy is pepper and salt. As with all recipes, make sure that you give it a taste before you serve it to make sure that the salt and the pepper are right. You want this to be not too salty, but you definitely want to be able to taste the spice of the pepper. Lastly, we're going to do sausage gravy. Now, this is the gravy that's traditionally served over biscuits, sometimes over toast, and it's really versatile and absolutely delicious. What we're going to do is we're going to brown this pound of pork sausage over about a medium-high heat. We want to render as much fat as possible out of it because remember, we need the half a cup of fat. I notice as I'm cooking this that it doesn't produce as much fat as I would like for the recipe. So I wind up adding about 1/4 cup of bacon drippings to the pan to help with the fat count. If for some reason you don't have bacon drippings and that's just not a thing in your house, you can add half a stick of butter to the pan to up the fat content before you add your flour and your milk. Again, here we're eyeballing the milk. I added about 2 to 3 cups to begin with to kind of let the flour absorb. And then I did wind up adding the final cup of milk to it because I felt like it was a little bit thick. But it's definitely not a problem if it's too thick. I like super thick sausage gravy, but if you need it to stretch to feed a crowd, add a little bit more milk to it to thin it out a little bit. When we season this, we're going to use our regular salt and pepper, but to this one, we're going to add a little bit of seasoned salt and a little bit of sage to add flavor to this gravy. This one is absolutely delicious. It's timeless. It's comfort food, and everyone loves it. All of these gravies are great in the freezer, which means that you can make these in advance, like before holidays, and have them put in the freezer until you're ready to use them. And it saves you just one step on cooking day of Thanksgiving or Christmas or birthday. I store the gravy in these 32-ounce containers labeled on top in the freezer. The day you're going to need to use them, you're going to thaw them out, and you'll probably need to add a little bit of your liquid, whatever liquid you used in the gravy the day of, to thin it out. Here's the recipes. I would love for you to like, share, and subscribe. I would love to chat in the comments. Take care of yourself, your precious cargo, and why? Because Mama said so.